Good afternoon. Would like to call to order the NOACA Records Retention Commission meeting. The time is now 1:06 p.m. For July 31st, 2024. Next item of business is the approval of the minutes of March 29th, 2021 meeting. I would also like to say that two of the three commission members are here, myself, Ronnie Blackshear, and also Lindy Burt. Together, we make up the quorum, and so we can move forward with the action items. Again, the next item on the agenda is the minutes of March 29th, 2021. In reading those minutes, even though it's been over 3 years ago when our last meeting was held, we noticed that there were several items that were on the agenda in the minutes that will affect the records retention action items as we move forward, and we'll get into discussion of that soon enough on the agenda, on the schedule. I'll open it up to Linda if she has any questions, anything to add to that.
Nope, nothing to add.
Okay. I'll move I need a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second, I'll second that approval of the minutes of March 29th, 2021. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The minutes are approved. At this point, the next item on the agenda is the public comment on the agenda items. And don't see any of the public available. If staff or others that are in the audience want to make any comments, they are welcome to do so at this time. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the action items. And this is the, I'll put that on the screen. What I'll do now is to kind of give an overview of the local government records program before we begin the action items. It's the LGRP, as it's abbreviated, provides advice and assistance to agencies such as NOACA concerning how to create and maintain sound records management programs, preserve records with historical value. There's a need to submit one of three forms, the RC1, RC2, and RC3 forms. The RC1 form is used for a one-time disposal of obsolete records that are no longer created or maintained. The RC2 form is the actual retention schedules which indicate how long each record series will be retained. RC1 and RC2 forms initially are signed off by the Records Commission, then submitted to the state archives. Once reviewed and signed by the state archives, they are sent over to the Auditors of State Office for review and signature. The RC3 form is the certificate of disposal of records identified on the RC2 form and do not require the signature of the Records Commission. The certificate of records disposal serves as the official record of disposition of the records. And it has to be in compliance with section 149.31 of the Ohio, the ORC. The Ohio Records Code, and is required to deter any improper disposal. And for the way that is handled, not all records need to be placed on the RC3 form. So if a record RC2 form is signed by the Records Commission, which is us, after September 29th, 2011, if that's a no, the RC3 form is required. But if it's a yes, the next question is, does the record series have a check mark in the RC3 required column or an RC3 required stamp? If that's a yes, then the RC3 form is required. And in the past, looking at the schedule dating back to 2017, the only type of records that require an RC3 form are permanent records. And we do have a couple of changes on our current schedule that are going from a number of years to now will be permanent. What I'll do now is to go over the different changes that are being proposed for the record schedule. The first one will be covered under our grant records scheduled section. And this is the Brownfields Revolving Loan Fund, administrative record, and documents within. The retention period is proposed to be 3 years, and this is after termination of the cooperative agreement, CA, and subject to any requirements for maintaining records of the site cleanups ongoing at the time of termination in the closeout agreement or the COA. And the media type is both electronic and paper. The second item that's on the agenda, this is the one that is being affected by the minutes from 2021, deals with personnel records. PR 10 under that schedule section reads resumes and related materials for candidates not hired. Initially, it was 3 years after the position is filled. And now what was being proposed back in 2021, the item was supposed to change to 1 year after the position is being filled. This is for resumes and related materials for candidates not hired. What we did find recently was a conflict with PR 10 with PR 4 of the current records retention. And that deals with hiring records, all non-hired applicants. And it had information, and this is how it reads. Hiring records, all non-hired applicants, including all applications and resumes, whether solicited or unsolicited. Results of post-offer, pre-employment physicals, results of background investigations, if any, related correspondence. That was for, the retention period was for 7 years after the position was filled or the decision not to fill the position is made. And the media type is both electronic and paper. And at this point, I'll open the discussion for Ms. Burt to make any comments.
Thanks, Ronnie. So when I look at PER 4, which is hiring records for all non-hired applicants, it seems to indicate that the intention of this line is where maybe some action was taken, but we ended up not hiring the candidate. When you compare that to PER 10, which just says resumes and related materials for candidates not hired, that may be individuals for whom no action was taken. Either no interview was conducted or an interview was conducted, but no further action taken. So we might want to just retain PER 4 for now as is with 7 years, but change PER 10 to 1 year. And we could also, maybe in PER 4, we add perhaps a clarification, hiring records for all non-hired applicants where some hiring action was taken, but candidate was not hired.
We can do that. So the next item, and I'll get to that. The next one is dealing with the information technology section of the record schedule. The item that's being added is become the new IT-1, and it deals with the electronic files, including emails. The retention period will be for, it reads, follow the retention schedule of the records title and description sections as indicated in this records retention schedule unless otherwise noted. Meaning that when you begin to look at emails, electronic files, it deals with pretty much every other section of the records retention, whether it's planning reports, administrative and compliance, finance, all of those items deals with electronic types of formats. And the media type in this case is electronic, of course. Currently, there are 5 items under the information technology section. It will now become 6 items. Everything that began with number 1 will begin starting at number 2 until the point where there will be a total of 6 items. The other items under that section does not change. The next item under the record schedule that scheduled for to be changed is under administration and compliance. Admin 6, ADM 6 and ADM 7. The items, the portion that's being changed or added is the media type. Currently reads just electronic, but it will also read electronic and paper. The fourth item under the schedule of amendments is under planning reports. Planning PLN 2, 3, and 4. These are PLN 2 deals with regional planning reports, planning analysis, planning related studies and tech memos authored by the staff or consultants. PLN 3 site specific planning reports and studies. And PLN 4 is staff activity reports. The two that are changing is under PLN 2 and PLN 3. Currently, PLN 2 reads 25 years as far as retention period. That's being changed to permanent. And PLN 3, the site-specific planning reports and studies, currently reads at 10 years. It will also be changed to permanent. And in the column of media type, we're adding and paper to the electronic portion, so to read electronic and paper. That's all of the schedule changes that we had. Is there, if there's any comments from anyone else, that I'll open it at this point.
Right, I have an additional recommendation, which I think amounts to what would be a minor correction. It would be in the line of the current schedule at ADM 8. Currently reads forms and requests produced at the request of federal agencies. And the retention period is 3 years, but I think that's supposed to say forms and reports produced at the request of federal agencies. So my recommendation is that we change that wording to forms and reports produced at the request of federal agencies for ADM 8.
Thank you. And it's ironic, I did have forms and reports in the schedule, but didn't have it scheduled to be amended, and it should be. It should have been in red, so I'll make that change.
Okay, and then again, to summarize for PER 4, I would recommend that we change the record title and description to read hiring records for all non-hired applicants where some hiring action was taken, but hiring records for all non-hired applicants where some hiring action was taken. So meaning we could have made an offer, wasn't accepted. We could have, the candidate withdrew. We might have done a background screening. But for whatever reason, we didn't hire that applicant. I would retain those records for the recommended period. And then in PER 10, I would change the title and description to resumes and related materials for candidates not hired where no hiring action was taken. And you already noted the change to bring this into alignment with what was approved during the last Records Commission meeting, which is changing that from 3 to a 1-year retention period after the position is posted.
Sure. Okay. With that, I'll ask for a motion to approve the 2024 amendments to the NOACA records retention schedule, along with the proposed additional changes.
Move to approve the changes as described.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. And we'll make those changes in our schedule as we submit the information to the state. That concludes our action items. At this point, there are no presentation or discussion items. Are there any reports? There are no reports or updates. No old business. Any new business? Mr. Burke, none. No new business. And at this point, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. At this point, we are adjourned and the time is 1:21. Thank you.